Hi, Phil Aston here from Now Spinning Magazine and another album review. Now, I touched on this album when I mentioned the new Judas Priest track called Panic Attack, and quite a few people thought maybe what I was talking about wasn't that fair. Now, I hadn't said anything kind of negative, but I had hinted that the new KK Priest album, some of the lyrics were kind of a bit obvious or a bit kind of you know what I mean. I'd mentioned it during the thing. So, and remember, because it's KK Priest that I'm going to talk about, and this was the first album that I reviewed when it came out, and I gave this an absolute glowing review. And KK Downing is a great guitarist. I've reviewed his book. It's a great book, by the way, and so much has happened. So much has happened. I mean, I also did a separate video on Sin After Sin by Judas Priest and talked about. I saw Judas Priest on that tour. It's the first time I saw them, and I think they opened with "Let Us Pray" and the track "Sinner," which is one of my favourite songs by Judas Priest. And the way KK was playing the Strat back then, and the way the way he controlled the tremolo arm was just absolutely amazing. So when he left Judas Priest, I just thought he was in the band. He was a key member. But I always think about it, all of you who are Judas Priest fans. There was the three of them, wasn't there? I know Ian Hill's been there forever or whatever, but you thought obviously KK Downing, Rob Halford and Glyn Tipton. But there was a feeling that it was Tipton and Halford and KK was kind of there, obviously doing, with the different licks on the guitars and stuff and who wrote the songs. But I didn't realise until KK Priest's albums came along just how much the influence of Priest sound was from KK Downing himself. Because one thing, as I noticed on the first album and the second one, is all of the songs, all the music and the lyrics are written by him. Whereas you got so used to seeing on Priest would be Downing, Tipton, Halford, and you kind of work out who was doing what, a riff came here or whatever. But this is KK on his own. So, album number 2, The Sinner Rides Again. Now, what I want to say about this is I listen to a lot of music. Behind me, those of you who've got big tellies will notice that I've got things on there by Judy Zook, Earth, Wind and Fire, all sorts of things, Little Feat. I listen to all types of music. I grew up on rock and metal, but as I've got older, I listen to literally every genre. I don't really even know what is music I don't like anymore. However, having said that, there are certain things that you need to get your head in the right place. And I've recently been listening to some Joni Mitchell and Little Feat and stuff, and it's a bit like suddenly eating curry first thing in the morning if you're not used to doing it. It takes you a bit of time for your mind to adjust. I remember someone lent me Still Life by Opeth after I'd been listening to Pink Floyd, I think, for a while. Just didn't get it. But then, of course, when I was having a session listening to Metallica, then I went to Opeth. Fantastic. So, after doing my little Judas Priest video and had a few comments from people saying, Phil, you need to listen to the KK album again. So I did. And I listened to it several times. And each time I did, I listened to it and I turned the volume up. Okay, so I've listened to it properly now. It is, to me, a lot heavier than this one. This one was them finding their feet. They had something to say, something to prove. This one is a lot heavier. And also, I've gone through all of the lyrics, and I've thought I'm going to completely dive into this. So my thoughts are as follows. And the other thing I'd like to say at this point, I wouldn't compare this to Judas Priest. This is a heavy metal album. A Priest heavy metal? Well, they say, this Priest, are you ready for some Priest style heavy metal? Is what Rob says. There are so many different subsets of heavy metal, aren't there? There's power metal, and I would think that Judas Priest are kind of power metal, and power metal to me is these crunching riffs but quite melodic, powerful choruses this is traditional. KK Priest album is what I would class as traditional kind of metal. Depending on how you view that, depending on where you are in the world. I'm sure if you're one of my South American viewers in Brazil or Argentina, your views will probably be more like Sepultura, but you know what I mean if you're from the UK. So I'd made some notes on this, and the first track, Sons of the Sentinel, there are lots of references to words that would have been used in Judas Priest and stuff, and I don't know if that's something that's KK's consciously doing that, as if there's a battle between the two bands, but I don't see there's a battle between the two bands. It's a bit like in 1980, bear with me, someone said to me, Phil, don't you wish Deep Purple were still together? And I said, well, I've still got all the Deep Purple albums, but what I have now is I have Rainbow, Whitesnake and Gillan coming around every year, so I've got 3 bands instead of 1. I think a lot of people will see that they now have Judas Priest and KK's Priest. So they have 2 bands, you know, so most people, I imagine, are very happy. Quite a few of the tracks start with some very, very tiny but small dual lead, quite melodic little intros with little guitar motifs before the riffs come piling in. And the riffs come in one speaker, the next speaker, double drums and a scream from the centre, and we're off. And galloping away, and this is really, really heavy. There's no other way of describing it. Strike of the Viper, again, a lot of the songs have double bass drum, lots of crunchy riffs. There's a kind of Eastern tinge to the solos in this, which I really, really liked. Reap the Whirlwind, this one is, this one is very Priest. Great riff. Again, double bass drums, epic solo section, and the vocals in this are excellent. I think Ripper, I think, sounds best when he varies his vocals. The guy in Opeth obviously has a soft vocal and his growly vocal, doesn't he? I think Ripper, when he's up there in the upper ranges all the time, I think it's good when he comes down and does a different tone, because it's almost like 2 voices. It's almost like a conversation, and there's quite a few tracks where that happens, which I really liked. One More Shot of Glory starts off with some bass, again melodic guitar intro, and a slow gallop of a riff, and builds up, and there's a fab riff just before the midpoint for the solo as well. Hymn 66. I think this is where I kind of cynically looked at the vocal, the lyrics here at this point, and you know, forgive me, I've been around a lot, and there's so many things that I think, oh, here we go. But I did some research on this, and this is Demios, isn't it? Who's this is Greek mythology, which is the god of dread and fear before people going into battle. And mythology, Greek mythology, Egyptian in history has been used, and it's a deep kind of place to mine for lyrics for heavy metal songs. Iron Maiden have made a career out of this kind of stuff and looking at historical backgrounds, and Sabaton, etc. You know, great band. And so KK writes all the music, all the imagination, all the creativity, his vision, and the lyrics are from him. And, you know, he's thinking of things that probably would go along with this kind of feel of music, and why not, you know, dive into some Greek mythology. And it's the the artwork. I have the CD, obviously. I don't have the vinyl, but I imagine the vinyl, the artwork it suits it. It really does. You know, this kind of imagery, and it's well drawn, because it could easily be not. But it really is well designed. Yes, there's Gothic fonts and everything. It ticks all of those boxes. But Hymn 66, you've also got this deep, slowed down voice, which again I was a bit because I remember people of Saxon have done it. This kind of, I think it was a voice that was almost used for film trailers for horror films. You know, that deep, slowed down, kind of like evil type voice. And this again, tick all the boxes. It's all there. It's a very kind of Sabbath type riff. They're from Birmingham. It's fine with me. And there's a bit of Iron Maiden in there as well. Then The Sinner Rides Again, which is the title track. This is classic KK to me. It's very Priest, but it's also KK's Priest. And I think that my feeling is that the next album number 3, they will have let go of any of these kind of comparisons, and they'll be their own band, if you like. And this is where Ripper's voice has different variations in it, and I think it really, really works on this. It really, really does. As I said, it's like two voices, like a conversation, and I'd like to see or hear more of that. I also have to mention AJ Mills on guitar, if I've got that right. AJ Mills, sorry, AJ. Because I'm saying all this about KK Downing's guitar playing here, but AJ is a stunning player as well. And this is, especially on this track, because there's like a guitar battle on this song. It's a real epic, and there's solo on this side, and it's really, really exciting stuff. This is heavy metal, and as I said at the start before this review, it's like cleaning your palate. So if you've been listening to something that isn't on this kind of intensity, it may, or you're trying to do something else, this is music not to be ignored. This is music not to that you have to sit and listen to. Involve yourself in it. Just be with it. If you're trying to do something else, you'll be distracted by it. You want to be with it. I think it kind of comes up and bodges you if it thinks you're not listening. But I just love the closing on that. It's really, really good. Then we have Keeper of the Graves, which again does tick some cliched boxes here, I have to say. Called Keeper of the Graves is a tolling bell, because we've got graves, we've got some acoustic guitar, and we've got some monks singing. There's some choir. The use of choirs and things in this is he's done really, really well. There's some great riffs again. I've put double bass drums, and there's a fantastic guitar solo over the key change as well, which I absolutely loved. And I love the epic feel, the way the chorus is done, and it ends as it starts with the acoustic guitar. Pledge Your Souls is the nearest we get to a song all about punching the air and supporting heavy metal. In Metal We Trust is one of the lines in it. It's very heavy, and it's the kind of song that would go down really well live, and it is about, being together with other people who are into this kind of music. And then number 9, which is Wash Away Your Sins, another choir here. It slows down. Again, we have the kind of evil voice in there as well. And we have an acoustic guitar, so there's some light and shade here. And some soft lead as well, just gently over the top, before we go into an absolutely typical KK riff on one side, and then the next one comes in with AJ on the other riff, and we're off and we're galloping. And they always, these kind of, I've used that phrase again, galloping type heavy metal riffs. This is KK's Priest on this track, most definitely. This is not Judas Priest. They have now moved away from each other completely. There's some great instrumental section in this. I'm just reading my notes here, and there's a bit just at the end, about 4 minutes mark, where everything drops back. When I say it drops back, the music drops back to be slower, which gives a great platform for the guitar solo. And I really like this. I think it takes great skill and talent to have a song that gallops along at 100 miles an hour with double bass drum and play a guitar solo that somehow adds something extra, and you still have room for some melody. But again, with the light and shade on this song, when it drops back to a slower, softer background, still heavy, it gives the guitar has more chance to speak and more space for the notes to actually carry more emotion. Man, that might be just me, but I feel that the solo on this song has more a profound effect on the listener because of the space it's got, with the music behind it not being so kind of crowded or busy, if you like. But it's an epic song. It really, really is. So that is The Sinner Rides Again, everybody, by KKs Priest. So if you bought the first one, they go very well together. And as I've said, actually, it is intense. I think the other reviews I've seen about this, it is really, really heavy. And some people have said, I've looked back and I've been a bit cynical about it. And I was about the lyrics. And I struggled. But I think it was because of where else I was coming from. And I am multi-genre man as well as multi-format man. But I think sometimes it's like, it's like a buffet. If you're eating different food, it can be a shock when you come to the hottest chili on earth. And this is a hot chili. So that is KK Priest. Tell me what you think. Tell me which one have you bought. I've got the CD. Did you buy the vinyl version? What's it like? And remember, music is a healer and the doctor, so keep spinning those discs. Please subscribe, please share, and if you can become a patron to help me even more, that would be fantastic, or a YouTube member, and you'll see all my videos before they go out to the general public, and lots of stuff that never even gets that far. So thanks very much, take care, keep spinning those discs, and I shall see you very, very soon.